So Paul, you grew up, do you remember a light moment in your life when it came to you? It's hard for people like you and Isaiah and people who've grown up in it, I think.
I have two moments that I recognize in my life. One was when I was a kid and I walked forward in a church service. I was sitting right over there, and I don't know why, and my pastor was wise enough to say, well, we're going to sit down and talk, and I was like, cool, you know. I just remember thinking, I remember sitting there. Odell, I'm going to step on a limb for a second. I'm sitting there, and I'm just a little kid. I'm doodling on the envelopes, you know, the church envelopes, like I always did. And all of a sudden, it's like literally, I heard a voice, Odell, don't judge me. I heard a voice.
God like, spoke to him.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I know. I'm going a little Pentecostal on you. I know. I just, there was a strong, something was like, go talk to Brother Mike. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. That's the name of my pastor, Brother Mike. So I was like, okay. I walked up there and we talked, and later that week he shared the gospel, and it wasn't anything new to me. It was everything my parents had taught me, you know, I'd learned from all my childhood. And I really, that was a moment. But then it was later in Florida when I was hanging out with a bunch of other Christian kids who my own age that were really they were really truly worshipers of God. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting around going, huh.
That's not me.
That's not me. And I never could put my finger on the moment, but I'll never forget that moment in time where I realized this thing about worshiping God is real. There's something about this. So I don't know, David, to answer your question, there wasn't just a moment where I was like, bing. For me, it was almost a time.
Well, when you're brought up that way, I think it's harder to see that. Whereas
possibly,
like this blind guy that Christ came into his life at a moment he had never encountered him before.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I've met many people who, you know, just walk sinful lives, and all of a sudden there's a moment where they're in church and it hits them, and something has a light switch has been tripped, you know, or something. Yeah.
Different for everybody. That's what it was for me.
More like a switch for you too.
Oh my God, it was like a hit your knees.
Yeah.
Switch, like hit your knees.
Yeah.
It was that overpowering.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about flopping around the floor or anything like that. I'm just saying that it was overwhelming to understand just how stupid I was.
Mm-hmm.
Sinful, stupid, arrogant, and all the things that I'd been. Raised in the church since I was in the 3rd grade. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have no idea.
Yeah.
That's where it starts, realizing that.
Who I am and what I'm going to do for you. What I'm going to do to you and for you.
Well, like mine, like for me, which, you know, I can look and see all the way back when I was little, and I know Catholic school, but no, I spent 2 years in parochial school, but remember the draw was already happening. It's like, what 2nd grade kid wants to watch, you know, Jesus of Nazareth when it comes on, where I was like glued to the television every year. I was like, I watched that series and stuff. But then, which was still God's hints, when I transferred down to college in Palm Beach Atlantic, where Paul and I left, and there was this speaker, Dave Busby, and it was like, he just made it seem so real, and it's like that light bulb came on. Where it's
then you got people
everything.
you got people like Truman Scott. You sit and talk about him and ask him for his testimony. He would tell you, I was 7 years old. It was June the 3rd, 1949.
Yeah.
And it's in a Bible written down somewhere.
Right.
In his grandmother's Bible.
Yeah.
It's different. I mean,
Everybody's,
that's one of the most godly men I've ever met.
walks different.
If you don't have it highlighted, I think it's one of those ones you should. Verse 25. Whether he, Jesus, is a sinner, I do not know. One thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I see. Man, that is the testimony of every Christian.